Welcome to The Other Side, where we take a ride each week and discuss our guests' personal journeys, their hard work, sacrifice, struggles and failures, along with their passion, dedication, and determination. This is The Other Side.
This week's episode features Charlie from Blacktree Barberia.
Yeah, I am pretty excited to get to know Charlie. We went to his place. Everybody needs a haircut every once in a while, but this is a little different.
His story is definitely different. His shop is definitely different. Charlie and his crew bring some excitement to getting a haircut, and he's got a lot more to discuss than just haircuts. This week, we'll feature Charlie on The Other Side.
Yeah, man, what's going on? How you doing?
I'm just happy to be here. Honestly, it's a nice morning. It's beautiful in Dago, and this is my first ever podcast, so I'm excited.
Hey, man, we're thank you for being here, man. This is new to us too. So thank you for riding with us.
It's my pleasure.
All right, man. Before we get to your business, which I'm fascinated by, because we went by there and it's cool, man. You have this crazy vibe going. But let's go back a little bit. Where were you born?
I'm a hometown kid. I was born right here in San Diego at Zion Hospital, or Kaiser Hospital off Zion.
Really?
Yeah, I never left. It's too nice to leave.
Really? Hey, it's crazy. Like, thankfully, I've been, I've worked other places of our beautiful country, but there's nothing like coming back, man. Every time we come back, I'm like, San Diego, bro.
Yeah, that feeling lasts for a little while, right? You're like, I can move here. And then as soon as you get home, you're like, I can't leave here.
Yeah.
You're like, I could live there, but I can't leave here. That's kind of the thing.
Right. So so you born here? Where'd you grow up? Whereabouts?
I grew up in Chula Vista, between Chula Vista and Golden Hills. My parents had split when I was younger, so I got the benefit of having two worlds to grow up in, kind of helped mold me.
Cool.
So one was like a grandma's house, and they were both grandma's houses. I'm a grandma's kid, for sure.
Oh, grandma. Now, what?
We share that in common, by the way.
It's the best way to be, right? I mean, they have experience doing what they're doing, so it's like the second round for them. So they're a little like easier on the handles, kind of.
Yeah, they're way more love and less.
Less stress, more love, for sure.
For sure.
So your parents, where are they from?
Here too. Honestly, my whole family has been here for like 70 years. As soon as we got across the border, we settled. We didn't leave.
Right. So whereabouts in Mexico? Is it Mexico or both of them?
Yeah, from Guadalajara. My dad and my mom's family was in TJ since they built it, pretty much.
Okay.
Just one of the pioneers over there.
So that's crazy. So that's good. Like a lot of us that you guys made the jump and then you just stayed.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was the obvious move at the time, right? And then it was the goal for everybody. And then my grandmother, it was her second husband, actually. She met my grandfather at the border. He was a border agent. So he snuck all of her brothers across. I mean, it's like 67 years ago, so it doesn't matter at this point.
It was crazy. Like I hear these old school stories, and it was a different time.
Yeah, totally.
I know this gentleman, older gentleman, that says that he used to just walk across and spend the day and then just go back.
And then walk back, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then recently, Chris and I were talking about the border park, where people used to do that too. Just walk across, spend the day at the park,
and
then go back. It was not like the craziness that it's now.
Pre 9/11.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, pre everything, But that's so. Anyways, you Chula Vista.
Chula Vista. I went to St. Rosa Lima Catholic School.
Wow.
I was a Catholic school kid before I even went to school because my grandma was heavy in the church as soon as I was born. So I grew up in Chula in the church, and then I went to Marian Catholic High School. So I was an Imperial Beach teen, and I just stayed in South Bay. I'm South Bay through and through.
Nice.
Yeah.
Just different times. It's good. Like my grandma, she's like Catholic like that. And it's good. Like it's the way they see things and their beliefs and stuff, and it's great. Like, and I would imagine just like your grandma, it's all love. They don't even they go. I
Love
mean,
and
my
fear.
grandma has gone through crap in her life. I always tell people she could easily be bitter or mad at the world, but she's always like, no, man, it's all good.
Yeah, those are the examples, right? Like they soldiered through, so you don't have any other choice but you can't be a bitch about anything. Excuse me.
No, go ahead. Hey, it doesn't matter, dude.
It's free and open right here. It's free and open. I'll interject on that subject for half a second. So I have been with my wife since I was 16, so since high school, right?
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's a long time for this old dog. So she's Hispanic, so I was kind of just full force into it when I came. So we got married at St. Jude Church.
Okay.
You know, and we went through all that. We did that whole ride, and it's been a big blessing. Actually,
Did you get married when you were still 16?
No,
18,
no,
21?
No.
The day you turned 18?
No. We actually didn't get married till we were 23. They were cool. They were cool, and they knew that my intentions were good. So
nice.
You know, we just rocked it. Her father actually became really a big part of my life, you know, and kind of a father figure, because
nice.
I grew up the same as you, kind of in a split family. My mom and dad separated when I was like 2 or 3, so
yeah.
It was very cool, and I still have my suegra today, so that's the
awesome.
best. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. There's nothing like it. Yeah, I met my girl in first grade too. I mean, she was older than me, so she didn't know me. I was just kind of like watching her from afar.
Wow.
Like through years of school, that's kind of how it went. But the pretty part about it is that I feel like I've known her my whole life, so it's easier to relate to her on so many different levels. You know, like you meet somebody new, you're like, I don't really want to learn everything about you. It's gonna take a long time. With her, I'm like, I already know your stories. They're good stories. I was there.
So you went through middle school and then high school?
Yeah, high school, and then I went to JC, but I had other.
Whereabouts? Because I went through Southwest. I did
the Southwestern thing.
Yeah.
The high school extension. Yeah, I met all my people from high school were all there.
Right.
And so I guess that kind of says a lot about who I was hanging out with. But it was just a temporary thing because I knew I wasn't going to stay. I was just doing it because my parents were both educators and they were like, they weren't going to have me.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. My parents are retired teachers, but they're across the border. We, for them, both of them, 45, 46 years.
That's dedication.
I was the same way. It was, I bounced around in high school, different high schools in across the border in Tijuana, and it was one of those things that I would imagine, like, we grew up with that community of teachers, and like their kids are basically like my cousins and stuff.
Yeah.
And I would imagine, like, probably back in the day, my mom probably shook her, like, what the hell, man? This kid, I'm a freaking professor here for 45, and then I got this guy bouncing around all over the place.
Yeah, my mom cries still to this day. Like, she tears up about it. She's like, you haven't graduated, and it's not gonna. I'm not gonna be happy until you do. But honestly, it just wasn't for me.
You know what? I was gonna ask you about that. Like, did you like school, or did you have like
I was really
subject,
good.
or?
I loved school. Well, I mean, loved is not the appropriate word. I didn't hate school.
Right.
And I got good grades all the way up until junior year, and then I had just been like so constricted in that. You know how Catholic school can be. Like you're locked in.
Right.
My parents were involved. It was always like that's what my life revolved around school, as it should at that time. But as soon as junior year was over, they gave me the chance to transfer because I had kept complaining about wanting to go to a public school.
Right.
My whole life, I was like, oh, it seems just funner.
Yeah.
That's not a word. More fun. I should have gone to college. It seemed more fun. And then my senior year, I wasn't going to be able to play sports anymore. I had lost my sports scholarship. I got hurt.
What'd you play?
I played everything. Oh, and I played football, basketball, and soccer. And I had a football scholarship at the time, but it was whatever that consists of. It was like half tuition to go play.
Wow.
Right there, right? But then they canceled that. I got hurt my junior year. They brought in another guy from another school. And private schools can be really sports oriented, right? So that was the gig, was football. That's all we had. So as soon as I wasn't starting, my scholarship was put on the side, right? And my dad.
That's kind of messed up, right?
I mean, it was, but that was just the game. It was like, well, did I have the grades to get an academic scholarship? Not quite. I had B's instead of A's. So my dad was like, look, forever the penny pincher, God bless him. He's like, look, do you really want to go to public school? This is your chance. Like, as a senior? Like, hell yeah, of course, right? So I just picked the school that I thought would be easy transition and just went for it.
Now, how does that work? Because I know that, like, at that age, like, friends and stuff, they're, like, very important, right? More important than, like, most stuff. So it's easy to say, but, like, senior year, everybody's already got their cliques and all the friends and stuff, and you're just coming in. Did you think about that, or?
I think I was, this is gonna sound crazy. I think I was tired of who I was.
Wow.
And I wanted to, like, I was this little jock, good grade kid, and I had something else that I wanted to do. And I knew I needed a new stage to do it at. And I had a friend there, so he kind of, like, set the stage for me. He hyped it up a little bit before I got there. And I had just started music, so I was like, I can't quite come out of my shell around these people that I've been around for the last 12 years. Because they know me too well. At least I thought, you know, so I was like, let me go somewhere else. And then as soon as I got there the first day of school, I was like, this is the best decision I ever made.
So when you say you started getting to music before you, like,
yeah, like that
what
summer.
Was that? What
like,
was that like? What were you doing?
I started writing poems to girls and leaving them in their lockers. And then that transitioned to, like, okay, well, maybe I could see that there was a couple kids in our school that were cool with hip hop. They were more hip hop, like the little group that was into it, right? So I would gravitate towards them and just listen to the songs they would bump on their radios.
Who was that back in the day?
Who were my friends?
Your
the influences? Oh man, with hip hop, I would like the obvious ones, the big names like Tupac and the Fugees and Mos Def, but then with music, like my dad did his job in that respect, in a lot of respects, but he always was in the car pre-singing the lyrics and then making me sing them.
Wow.
So he would be like, hey, this is the next line. And he'd say it before it happened, and then I'd have to, like, time it. And if I did it wrong, he's a musician too, so he was a wedding singer.
Really?
So he was all about song covers. So he'd get his practice in with me, you know, like to make sure he remembered the song.
But you know what? One of those is like we go through life and then you look back on things. Like a couple of times he was probably annoying, but now if you look back, it was
never, man. I loved it.
Did you like?
Yeah, I loved it.
Even he was like snapping at you, like, "Hey, come on, do it right."
It was the bonding moments because, like, I lived at grandma's, so when he came over, it was kind of a weird thing because I ended up split with both parents, and we were going back and forth for a little while.
Yeah.
But the home hub was always grandma's house. So one day they came and I was like, why don't you just leave me here? You know, like, why are you picking me up late to go home and sleep? It seems kind of strange, right? And I think it hit them kind of weird that I had noticed it already at 10, and they just kind of conceded to it. They were like, all right, well, you can live here, and we'll come here. So it was this weird situation that would happen every other day. One of them would come. So my dad would come have dinner at my grandma's house Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday.
Wow.
And my mom would come, but that wasn't her mom, so she would kind of like hang out and then take us out to eat and then come home. So it was this weird like business style relationship, but we were close. Like no,
I was
never
gonna
felt
say
like
there's no like animosity. No.
Nah,
That's
I
good.
wanted to stay at grandma's. I was excited. Grandma was the best. And they messed up the first time they left you there, and then it was just, why would you want to leave?
Right? I actually did a brief stint in my life when I was messing up in Tijuana. I actually took off and lived like 3 years with my grandma, and it was the best. It was the best.
Yeah.
And with her, like back in the day, I would bring milk and eggs and tortillas and potatoes. She makes the best potatoes. So she
With the tomatoes and the onions.
and no, she's just like old school, just like, and she taught me how to make them. And actually, I make them, but obviously not as good as her. But it was good. I mean, to me, even now she's kind of up there, and she's still 100% mentally there, but she's kind of like physically.
Yeah.
But we're so blessed to like you have full blown conversation with her, and she remembers everything. But back then, like I would bring the stuff, and she would make whatever I wanted, and it was just.
It's like the simplicity of it is beautiful. Right?
Oh man, it's so good.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It was home. Like it didn't matter the walls. Like as long as she was there, it was like
right.
It was home. Right?
Yeah. 'Cause that's another thing with me. Like, when she didn't have money by any means, but it was weird. Like even because we spent our summers up there, because my mom was a teacher, so we had those big breaks.
Yeah.
So every summer we spent them out there. And I tell everybody, I said, I didn't realize that my grandma didn't have any money growing up because it didn't matter. You know, it was fun. Food was great. We had a blast. That's back in the days when you could get tired in the summer and just grab the hose and drink water.
They made broke look beautiful, bro.
Yeah.
Like, honestly.
Yeah. It was like for me, it's I treasure those moments and the time that I spent with her.
Of course. She was mine as well. She was the rock for sure.
So now you're saying you started getting into music, you're writing poems. So once you went into the public school, like how'd you take the next step musically?
I had it wasn't really the next step, but just to accept the idea that I was trying to do it, you know, that I was like a rapper, I guess. And then it took one of my friends now who cuts with me at the shop, Jack. He's one of the first guys I met when I got to Hilltop High School when I transferred. And he introduced me to this other friend of his named Orlando, and he would rap in the center of the lunch quad. And he told him that I rap, so he put me on spot. And he was like, come, like, I'm gonna take you. I don't know, he took to me quick. And he's like, I'm gonna take you under my wing, I guess. And he was one of the cool kids on campus. And then when I rapped, I was nervous, so I closed my eyes. But when I opened my eyes at the end of it, there was a big circle, and people were like cheering, right? So I was like, oh shit, this worked. And it was like exactly how I had drawn it up. You know, I was like, I'm gonna go to this new school, I'm gonna make a good impression. By lunchtime, girls were hitting me up like, hey, you know, all this stuff. Where are you from? All this stuff. And then by the end of school, guys who were with those girls before were coming up to me and being like, yo, who the hell are you? I'm like, what's that?
Well, that's one of the good things about, you know, like transferring your last year, because you're the new
I was
kid.
new.
So
I was new.
People want to say, hey, who's that guy?
But I wasn't a punk. I mean, I wasn't a freshman, you know, so I wasn't transferring like in the middle. I was you know those stories you see on TV, like those movies where the guy transfers, he's got a leather jacket, and he's like, where did he come from? He got kicked out of his old school, right?
Yeah.
And then, I let it ride. They were like, where'd you come from? I was like, did you get kicked out? I was like, yeah. Yeah.
Hello.
Of course they kicked me out. It's too cool.
Hey, so, yeah, because I was going to ask you, like most performers, you know, like your first time where you have like an audience and stuff, because it's got to be like a little bit of a thrill, right? Like a little kick.
Hell yeah. It's a knee shaker for sure. But then there's an adrenaline rush. And then I've been chasing that moment my entire life ever since.
Really?
Yeah. Like, well, I mean, you know, it's like a drug, and then the more you get a drug, the less it does for you, you know. But that one, like, you don't do it so often. So every time you do it, it has that same, like, nervous effect to it, right? But it's awesome. It made me personable. I was kind of like, I was quiet, and then as soon as that made me have to talk, I could hear it. Like, I could hear it happening in my voice. So it was like becoming more not aggressive, but more present. You know, I could talk.
So, wow, and it's crazy that you realize that, like, you were a certain person, and then when you were on stage, that kind of brought something else.
Yeah, like I always had an opinion, and I was just too scared to give it. And then once I got cheered on, it was like, oh, okay, so you want to hear what I have to say, or I just don't care, and I'm gonna say it anyway.
Right.
You know, it was probably more that than the other one. My friends would be like, shut up, you rap all day, you never stop talking. Everything is in rhyme, like around 17, 18, 19. But when we'd go to parties, they'd be like, hey, Lois, get on the thing, you know, get us attention. I'm like, all right. For sure.
I got to jump here for a half a second because I got these tracks last night, and I was blown away, and I shared them with my son, and he was blown away. We're gonna get a little sample here of what we got. Here, this is one.
Oh yeah, this is a good one.
I mean, I was not expecting it.
Real ones is so hard to find, so hard. That's why I call you brother. If I don't help you, then who will? Who will? Gotta look out for each other.
Really? I mean, I never heard it. He told me about it last night.
I know. I know. I know. I know. I know. I know. You know who you are.
Yeah.
Getting high in the car at the park underneath the stars. Booze in a paper bag, chronic and cheap cigars. Really know who I am and I definitely know who you are. I was there when your daddy left and your family got torn apart. Watch as the water formed in your eyes, that shit broke my heart. I swear to God, it broke my heart.
What are you doing with this? I mean, has this been buried in the closet? What's going on?
For like 6 years. Okay, so I made this the week I turned 30 years old because I told myself that I would quit rap at 30. So I was like, well, shit, I gotta make something before I quit. So I went to the studio like every day for a week, like every other day for a week, and I made like 10 songs, and then I just left it there. And he emailed me 6 of them. But there's probably like 20 altogether that I made that week, but 10 that he was like, oh, these are cool, I'm gonna text you these or send you these, and I just left them there. I never did anything with them.
I think you should be on the comeback trail, because I mean there's a whole different other generation out there that would appreciate this stuff.
It's funny you said that, because coming here kind of made me want to do that, or knowing that I was gonna come here. I booked studio time after this.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah, I was just like, hey, why not? I got something.
So before we get to, so that's interesting to me that you at 30 you said, you know what, that was your plan. But before we get to that, so like you went for a ride.
Oh yeah, I went
this music took you for a ride, right?
The senior year, I met so many people that ended up being influential in the rest of my life path. So I met Jack, who's circled back around and came with me now. But he introduced me to his whole like network of people, and they were all black. So my life did 180, and not because for good, right? It was like my whole upbringing was mostly Mexican and Catholic school and white. And we had a couple black kids scattered. And yeah, all those kids ended up being my friends because we were in sports together, and like that's the bond we had made. But once this switched, it was like they took me into their group, right? Like this group, and I was the only Mexican kid in this group. And then there's this phenomenon that happens that when you're the only white kid or the only Mexican kid in the group, you become not just cool, but like, why is he so cool? Like, how is he cool by association? You know, and like once they gave me the cool card in hip hop, it was like, oh shit, he must be even better than normal, because they wouldn't take him if he wasn't, right? Like they would slide him to the side. And this group, like they were a group of kids, and some of them rapped, some of them didn't, but they were definitely like the coolest kids in that school, right? So we start hanging out, and one of them had dropped out of high school, and he was lucky enough to have an ulterior plan. He had money coming in, so he wasn't worried, right? And he instantly was like, yo, we're gonna start recording. And he had his little brother. His little brother was way younger than me, but he was really good. And he would just start paying for studio sessions. And we were just messing around, but it started to pick up steam. And by 21, one of his uncles, they're Saquon Indian, right? So they had money coming in to try other stuff, right? To try their hand at other projects. Right. So one of the uncles, one of my friend's uncles, my friend's name's Justin. His uncle came out of vacation, out of school, we'll call it. and he wanted to get into the rap game. So he's like, look, let's find some rappers. And we're at a party, and my friend knew that he would be there. And he was like, look, just go up there and kill all these people, like do your thing, you know? I was like, all right, I'll go up there and rap. And when I did, like right afterwards, he was like, yo, I need to sign you. And I, you know, it sounds crazier, I guess, than it is, because somebody's like, oh, I'm gonna sign you. And you envision like, you know, a big company signing you. And it was just this one guy, but he had plans for something bigger. And he's like, yo, I'm gonna have a meeting with you, and we're gonna bring a lawyer and all this shit that I'd always imagined but never imagined. And I'm like, all right, cool. So he set up this meeting at Saquon Golf Resort. At the time, they didn't have the property they have right now, but this golf resort was pretty nice. And it was a lunch meeting. It was like right in between lunch and dinner. And the golf cafe only serves lunch food, but I had this idea that it was going to be this like super high-end spread dinner. Yeah, like in my mind, I was like, this is the rest of my life is going to change right now. So when they brought club sandwiches and BLTs on the menu, I was like, shit, this isn't going to do it. This isn't going to for this moment. And I think the waitress kind of was looking at me weird, and I had brought a friend with me, and he's like, what? He's already ordering? Like, nah, I'm not going to order this damn BLT. Like, hey, do you guys have another menu? And I had just met this guy who's about to sign me, right? Like, I'd only met him for 24 hours, 48 hours. And I'm like, you guys got another menu? And he's looking at me funny. And they're like, we have a dinner menu for the other restaurant. Like, the chef could maybe make you something. And I'm like, chef, this is a cook in the back. I'm like, all right. And they bring me this menu, and the first thing that I read was rack of lamb. And I'm like, hell yeah, give me the rack of lamb.
High roller.
So have you had it before, or just because it sounds crazy cool?
I never had it at all. I didn't even know it was gonna come out. It just sounded cool. You hear it in movies, you know.
Right.
Like, yeah, give me the rack of lamb. So they bring out this, you know, like little lollipop looking rack of lamb. Like, now I know what rack of lamb is. It's good. It was fire. It was the best rack of lamb I ever had.
Probably the
And, yeah, I think this is the only time I ever ordered it. But yeah, my producer, or my CEO, his name's Exusha Brown. He's a super cool dude. He chuckled his ass off. It's like, oh, you're gonna order the rack of lamb? It's like, this is how it's gonna be. Like, yeah.
So you get signed, and then
I got signed.
What?
And then we hit the studio right away. And then like San Diego producers that I had heard of, you know, like mini legends and legends in the San Diego game. I messed with this guy named Elo, and then Cricket, Steve Vicious, and these are names that were popular 10 years ago. They might still be now. I don't know. I mean, I haven't been in the scene for a while. But yeah, super excited, throwing a bunch of money at it, buying me clothes and Jordans and jewelry to look the part, you know, because I certainly didn't look the part before that. And then and we went to San Francisco, filmed little videos, and it was fun, man. I was having a lot of fun. And then a couple of years into it, I didn't quite sell like I thought I was, you know. I think I kind of gimmicked it out my first time out. I called the CD "The Monsters Ball," which is still plays on Apple Music and on what's that other one, Spotify. You know, yeah,
The Monsters Ball.
The Monsters Ball. So my name, for some strange reason, a friend of mine that rapped with me gave me this name that I hated, but it stuck. And he called me Los the Monster. And he's like, man, when you rap, you sound like you're the monster. I was like, wow, I hate that. You know? But I was like, all right. It sounded cool when he would say it, but then he kept telling people that my name was Monster. So people kept coming up to me like, oh, you're Los the Monster. You're the monster. I'm like, nah, I guess. Like, yeah, sure, okay. So then when he came out, when we were putting this album together, my CEO was like, run with the monster thing. Like, and at that time, it was a style to like change your voice and go make it sound raspier, like more like aggressive, right? So I was like, all right, I'll run with it. But I went way too far into it, and that whole album just didn't sound like me. It sounded like some gimmick, you know?
Right.
And then it didn't sell, so I was super disappointed, you know. But then I was like, okay, I'll go back at it. But it had left a bad taste in his mouth, I feel like, you know, artistically. So he was like, oh, let's wait a minute. And I took the benching kind of personal. I was a kid, you know, so I was like, no, I don't want to wait. I want to get back out here and do it again. I'm going to try harder, do it different.
Right.
And he had other people he had signed, so he was working on their projects. So it was like, okay, wait a year and hone your craft. Wow. Well, I mean, sometimes it takes that long, you know, to put everything together. So he's like, wait a year, do some mixtape type stuff, and then we'll try again in a year. But he owned me for like a 5-year deal. And we were on year.
Wow. So when you signed, it wasn't like a record deal. It was like time.
It was time. As anything I made in those 5 years was 50% his.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now,
so,
you said you like kind of took it personally, and you want to get out there. I'm just saying that because a year, and when you're young, you're anxious. I mean, that's an eternity.
So I took it upon myself, and then, you know, like the discourse grew a little bit, and obviously we could tell there was tension, and it was kind of like, well, then go your own way then if you want to do your own thing. And I was dumb. I should have I was a kid, you know. I should have held my. I mean, whatever happened for a reason. So I went my own way, but he still owned me for a couple years.
Yeah.
So I wasn't trying to put anything out. I was just storing music. I had a Rolex that I had acquired through ways I probably shouldn't talk about. But I sold the Rolex, and I bought a music studio, or equipment for a music studio, and I rented this like warehouse off of Chula Vista, off of Main Street, right by the salt mines. Kind of like how you guys did out here. It was like this hole in the wall, and definitely wasn't a music studio, and it was full of shit. And I was like, look, I'm gonna make this happen. And then we did, And I started to charge money for people to come rap because I knew a bunch of rappers. So I was like, well, they'll pay the rent, and I'll record my shit when they go home or whatever. And that happened for a couple of years until my contract expired. And then I took what I had to Thump Records. You know those guys that put out all the oldie music?
Yeah.
Like those little oldie collaborations you see in 7-Eleven now. Well, back then they were in the warehouse and they were huge, right? People would love that shit. So they were putting out Chicano rappers, and I sounded more, I was raised with black rap influences and around black rappers. So my style was way more not Mexican, not your usual, right? And these guys were looking for something more that they could market to their group, to their niche, their base. Yeah. And I was just for sure they were gonna take my album, right? Like I had previous to this one, I had made a second one. I was like, they're gonna love this album. It's dope. It's way better than the first one. And the guy's listening to it, and he's like, you know what? You're better than most of the rappers we have on our label, but you don't sound like you belong on our label. Wow. And I was like, oh, shit. All right. And he's just like, yeah, you should make a little like more like raza music. And I was like, oh, fuck. All right. I'll try that. But I was mad too. I was like, but this, you're wrong, you know?
Well, you're probably going to do the same thing. I mean, you modify your style as a first.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm not going to do it again. Right. So I was like, fuck that. So I went home and I just started to put it out myself. And then I turned like 26 and I met a girl, and that was probably the end of whatever I had going on.
Well, the other thing, like, how long ago was that? Because I mean, I see these a lot of these kids, they have so many opportunities now because you got Spotify, you got
it was like the beginning of that. It was 10 years ago, and it was the beginning of people putting their music online, but it wasn't taking off the same way. Right. Like Drake he had just come out, so I was trying to not copy Drake, but like, okay, do it in the same light that he did, or in the same path that he took, you know, do it on my own, get signed, whatever. Right. But it didn't hit. I ended up getting a job, which kills everything and everyone.
What job was that?
So the girl that I started to date, she worked at Meals on Wheels, and in girl fashion, she's like, you know, you need to stop this rap stuff and grow up and da 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 da. I'm like, nah, I'm good, but you're probably right. I do need a job, you know, so something else, like just in case. So I got the job with her, and then I worked in the kitchen. We were just making food, bagging sandwiches, and then from there, I went to work in the field, and then I was like an event organizer for them, or a site coordinator, they called it. So I would get somewhere, volunteers would show up. I would explain to them what they were gonna do, yada yada, take them out. We would do our thing.
Now, when that it happens. You know, it happens to most of us. Life takes you, but were you still kind of not happy?
I was miserable. I mean, the girl was cool, and I was happy for a moment, but I knew that wasn't
where you wanted to be.
Yeah, at all. I mean, like nobody wants. Even if I was gonna go 9 to 5 for out, I didn't want it to be making sandwiches or delivering them, for that matter. You know,
it's crazy because I think that happens to a lot of us. You get to a certain point, and especially when you're younger and you want to take on the world, and then all of a sudden, and I tell people all the time, bro, just take advantage of the time and every day because it goes by so fast. All of a sudden, like I know that a couple of times in my life, I was like, what am I doing here? You know, what happened?
Yeah,
you know,
for
so
sure.
But as long as you kind of question that and you start doing something, moving towards where you want to be.
I got that moment. I had been with her for the girl. I had been with that situation for a couple of years, and now I was like 28, about to turn 29, and I was telling myself like, yo, this is not what you wanted. You know, like you went from making your own rules to the complete opposite, and like living on someone else's terms. You know, and at that time, I didn't want to be filtered, so I didn't want all my decision making. I wasn't ready to put my decision making past my partner, or through my partner, be like, hey, I want to consider you for this. So I knew that I had to be by myself, right? So I was like, let me just get out of here. And then I did that, and I had to quit the job too because she was right there, and they went hand in hand. Right. I remember I woke up, and the worst part was her mother was my boss. So her mother had given her the job and me the job. Right? Wow. We worked in different buildings, but we were in the same company. And I woke up one day, and her mom really liked me. And from working with her, had told me like, hey, you're too talented to be here making fucking sandwiches. You know, like this is just not the life for you. And if you're gonna be with my daughter, you should try for more, right? And I was like, well, to tell you the truth, if I try for more, I'm probably gonna leave your daughter. And she didn't bat an eyelash. She said, you have to do what you want to do. And I was like, wow, this mom is actually being like motherly, even to someone that might, even to someone that's not in the best interest for her own daughter. She was like, look, I can see that you're suffering. You need to get the hell out of here. And then I went home. She's like, just take a week off or something. And at the end of that week, I called in, and I was about to, it was like 7 a.m. I had to start at 7. And I told her like, hey, she said, I already know. You're not coming back, right? And I was like, yeah, like I just think of coming to work and I get this pain in my chest. Like, and she's like, really? She's like, yeah, don't come ever. She's like, go do something else. I was like, cool. She's like, I'll fire you so you can get your unemployment.
Wow.
Sick. So she fired me, and I got 4 or 5 months of unemployment, and I used that money to
regroup.
Yeah, to regroup, to start something else.
And the time, wow, that is.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool for her. She was a cool person.
So now you're like 28, and then you said you already knew that like at 30 you wanted to just put your last.
Well, yeah, right then I told myself, I was like, I'm gonna try rapping one more time, and I'm gonna go hard at it for like the next year, and see what happens. And then for some reason or another, like, you know, you think it's gonna be a quick transition, but a bunch of other shit happened, and money comes into it, and
right.
I had to do something else, and I couldn't rap, and then I hit 30, and I was like, okay, well, I should quit. Because I had told myself since I was like 18, like, hey, if you don't get famous or if you don't make money off of this shit by 30, then you got to give yourself enough time to transition into something else, like, while you still got legs for it, you know? Like,
yeah.
Okay. So I was there and in the mirror, just like, I got to put this away. But I knew I couldn't put it away completely, so I started to write, as opposed to like, I'm not a rapper anymore now. Or at that point, I told myself, I'm not a rapper, I'm going to write. Like, whatever, songs, music, stories, whatever I had going on, I would just write it. And then that has carried on till now. So I was 30, and I started dating the girl I'm with now, and she lived in South Park. And I was with her for like, I don't know, a year probably at that point. And I was spending the night there a lot. And the shop where it's at right now was a salon, and the girl who owned the salon was really young. She was like 22, 23. She never showed up to work. She was there maybe once or twice a week just to make enough money to pay her rent, I assume, and then she would leave. So I was parking in her spot all the time because there was no other parking. So I kept parking in her spot. She was never there. And then one day she knocked on the door of the apartment, and I answered. She said, if you want to park your fucking car right here, why don't you buy the shop? And I just took it. I took it super like, oh shit, it's 10 a.m. in the morning. Like, my bad, I'll move my car. I thought she was just talking shit. So I moved my car. And then like 2 days later, we're on a walk, and there's this handwritten paper sign on like a scrap piece of paper, business for sale, on the window.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, that's crazy. And I didn't think anything of it. So I went to LA to visit my uncle, because we do antique dealing, right? So he had this piece that he wanted me to bring back to San Diego, and he was gonna pay me to go pick it up. So I went to go pick it up, and when I'm there, I'm like, you know, I'm in a funk, dude. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do next. Like, obviously I have to do something next. And he's like, yeah, well, I can see that, you know, you look stressed out. Let's go get you a massage. And my uncle's like, he's one of those like spiritual healer kind of shit. He gets you a massage, then he gets your chakras cleansed, and he digs like taking you on these kind of adventures, right? It's like show you what he does. And then he took me to this lady, this like little Catholic lady that reads cards, and she'd been his fortune teller for years. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to do this. And he's like, nah, just go in there. I promise I didn't tell her shit about you. I'm just gonna leave you here. I'm gonna go run an errand. I'll be back, right? Like, run an errand? Like, how long you gonna? He's like, don't worry, I'll be right back. I'm like, all right. So I'm sitting in there, and this little lady pours me some tea, and she brings out these like angel reading cards, and she asked me, what do you think of 3 things or whatever that you want, 3 questions you want to ask. I'm like, all right. So I asked, like, what my job, what am I going to do career-wise? She's like, well, whatever you're doing right now, you have to stop. I'm like, well, what do you know about what I'm doing right now? She's like, well, I know it's in weed. And I was like, yeah, it's not illegal. And she's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. but it's not gonna give you what you're looking for, like right now, right? I was like, all right, cool. So, whatever. Next question. I'm like, what about my love life? She's like, the girl you have right now, she loves you. You're gonna be with her forever. I'm like, cool. I'm like, what about like my home life? And she's like, well, there's another woman that's gonna move into your house because it was like a roommate situation where I lived. She's like, and I ran the house, but I took roommates in. You know, I rented rooms out. And she was like, this woman's gonna move in. She's gonna come on to you. She's gonna try to split up you and your girl. Like, you have to be aware of that. I'm like, whatever. You don't take this shit serious. I'm like, cool. So I go outside and wait, and it starts raining, and like she closed her door. I'm outside waiting for my uncle. I'm calling him. His phone's off. It's fucking pouring rain. Los Angeles wind. I don't live in LA. I'm like, I don't even know where to go from here, you know. So I finally got a hold of him, and I was like, yo, I see a fucking pickup sticks. It's cold as shit. I'm gonna be inside pickup sticks eating orange chicken. He's like, all right. So he picks me up. He's like, oh, my bad. How did it go? I'm like, whatever. You know, I tell him what she said. It's bullshit. Whatever. Okay. I go home, and I kept thinking this, like, the last thing she had told me was business-wise, you're gonna get a chance. You're gonna get a business opportunity when you go home, something different, and just do it. Whatever it is, just do it. So all right. So when I get home, I kept thinking about this for sale sign in the window at this thing. You know, I was like, is that what she meant? Like, this business opportunity's like right next door. Like, that's kind of crazy. I don't know. But then I went home from my girlfriend's house to my actual house, and one of my roommates was like, hey, we got, remember that room we needed to rent out? Like, I found a girl to move in. Cool, I didn't think nothing of it. This girl moves in. Like, a week into this girl living there, she tries to come on to me, like, hard, like drunk, super hard. And I backed her down. And I'm like, nah, you crazy. I can't. I'm with somebody.
And then you're like,
and then she was like,
hey,
nah,
that lady said that.
Yeah, she's like, that girl you with, she's not for you. And
wow.
Like, I could do this so much better. And I'm like, damn, that lady was kind of right. I was like, no, because now I'm thinking about this lady. And then instantly I went to the shop and I was like, yo, how much do you want for this business? And she's like, oh, like 15,000. It's like, shit, no, like but the location is South Park, and I grew up in South Park, so I was like, yeah, I really want to be here. I offered her 10, like an idiot. I didn't even have 10. I just said like 10, and she said yes. Now I had to come up with the money. So
here we go.
Shit.
What year was that?
That was 6 years ago, 5 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, 2015, 16.
You got in just in time because it's turned crazy over there, rent wise and everything else, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was. I got the coolest spot and the coolest landlord at the time, right? I mean, now everything is a little different, but then he just wanted his money and nothing else, and he was just like, look, I'm just gonna charge you the same thing I've been charging for the last 10 years. I'm like, for real? I said, yeah, cool. And you can do whatever you want. And so he gave me free range. But I wasn't going to open a barbershop. I was just going to do antiques because that's what my family was into. And I went to get my haircut, and I was telling my barber, like, yo, I'm going to do this antique thing, like, whatever. He's just asking, shooting the shit. And he's like, yeah, that's cool. So you sure you want to be in an antique store forever? And I'm like, yeah, why not? Right? And then I'm having dinner that same night with my grandfather who owns an antique store. And I'm telling him, like, yeah, I think I'm going to open. I'm super excited. I'm opening this little antique store. And I'm thinking he's going to go all in with me. Like, hell yeah. Like, we finally got a spot. Yeah. And this is this business, and you're going to take over and all that shit. That's the last thing he said. Like, I don't know if he didn't want the competition or if he was just giving me great advice. And he's like, the last thing you want to do, son, is spend your whole life in an antique store. You'll turn into one. And I was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
Well, shit, now what? I signed the papers. I paid the money, like on loans and however I could get it together. And I had
you don't have any more Rolexes?
No,
no
more
Rolexes away somewhere, right?
No. I did sell some music equipment to end up paying for that shit, though. I did. I sold almost my whole setup. But no, I went to get a second haircut. So like a whole month had passed. I still hadn't done shit with this building. I just knew I had it. And my dude was like, why don't you just put the antiques up and put barbers in there? You can shoot the shit with the barbers and still sell antiques off the wall. So cool. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Great idea. Why don't you come work with me? No. He's like, no, because you don't know shit about hair, and I'm not going to jump into some situation like that, but good luck, right? I was like, all right. So the biggest battle was convincing people that I could own a barbershop because I had no
I was going to ask
background
you
in
about
it.
that. Like, even as a small business,
None.
did you? And that's, to me, that's critical as far as like people out there, because a lot of us, you know, have an idea or want to do this, but we never take that leap.
Well, that was part of the strategy in picking barbershop, or part of like the pros of picking a barbershop. It's like, look, if anything, it's going to be one of the least, not the least difficult, but there's no inventory. There's no like, the overhead is the same pretty much month to month, you know,
Right.
and the job is relationships. Like you got to get people.
That's the key, though.
And keep people. And that was one thing that I was always decent at. From sports, I was the quarterback, so I was used to keeping my guys together. And then in the music thing, it was like we were a group. So I was like, hey, we got to stick together. We can party at my house. We can do this at my spot. So I always had a spot.
Because that's, to me, that was intriguing, because like when we met and we went by your shop, at first, I mean, you were doing everything, moving stuff. So I figured, oh, he's main dude. He's the owner. He cuts the hair. But then, like,
Yeah,
you
I don't. And I should, to be honest. I've hung out in there long enough. I probably can pick
Right,
up
but
some scissors.
but that's more, that makes it crazier. And I think it gives, I would think like people would, you know, somebody that doesn't even cut hair just said, hey, let's do this. And because it's crazy, like I most people you go back and look at your life and you pick up certain things, skills or like relationships or the way you handle yourself, and you knew that you had certain traits that were going to help you with your business.
Yeah.
But it's kind of hard to fathom somebody saying, "Now, you know what? Let's put a barbershop here." And I don't even know how to cut hair.
I heard this from one of my guys, rest in peace. He's not here anymore. But
Oh, wow.
when he was in the 12-step program, he did this thing called the job inventory, right? And no one ever told me to do it, but I remember sitting down and thinking like, what the fuck do I want to do? And like, what am I even good at this point? And I was already well into my adulthood and I didn't have many skills other than like rapping, right? So I was like, okay, I can bullshit if you want to call that a skill. And I'm like, I'm a decent host. Like I've always thrown parties, dinner parties, house parties, whatever, right? So I was like, I know how to set an aesthetic, you know, because my family was in antiques, so that I grew up staging shit. So I was like, all right, well, I can stage, I can add that, you know, and then I can sit in there and kill silence because I hate quiet, right? So I was like, well,
the awkward,
yeah, and I was like, and
moment. But you know what? It's good you say that, because I think there's a lot of people out there that sometimes we don't even realize, you know, the skills we have. You know, if you look back and you actually, because I've read that before, where you're like, hey man, go back and just take a notepad and
yeah,
make
do
a
an
list of
inventory
things
of what you do, yeah.
and you'd be surprised. You kind of surprise yourself, you know. So it's good you did that. You broke it down, and then probably you just said, I can do this. I'll be able to.
Yeah, I had to convince my dad to give me money. So I mean, at least half of what I needed. So in doing that, I was convincing myself that I could do it. You know, like giving him the spiel and giving him all the reasons why I thought it was a good idea. It was easy. South Park is forever great location, right? That neighborhood just supports people who try in that neighborhood.
It has been a big change in that neighborhood. I mean, I grew up in North Park, so like probably 6 blocks from where your shop is for 50 years.
Yeah,
so
yeah. I mean, I lived there since '92, and it wasn't what it is now at all.
Definitely.
Yeah. It took till like 2005, probably for it to blossom. But I remember even as a kid driving through thinking like, oh, these houses are cool. And these trees like are you know, they have personality. And then once the ball got rolling, you could see that certain shops like were surviving and they were being supported. And then everybody else who's come in the last 5 years is piggybacking off of that. But
do you remember Thomas's bike shop?
Of course.
Okay, so that's my first bike was from Thomas's bike shop.
He fixed my shit for free a couple of times.
Yeah. He was cool.
He's still there, or I don't know if it's the same
I think it's
guy.
his son now,
His son,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would go to Mazara's because that was the only other thing there. I'd steal money out of my grandpa's sock drawer and go buy a slice all the time because he's one of those cash guys with change. So I'd be like, give me $1.50 in change so you go get a slice there. But no, on the way there, I'd get hit up for heroin or coke or crystal. And I'm like 11, 12. You know, hey, you want something? Hey, you need anything? Hey, you want something?
It's a full change though now.
Yeah,
Right? It's a full circle. I mean,
Like-
I remember when you opened the shop. It's funny because me and my kids were little at that point. No, maybe. How many years you been there now?
4 years.
4 years. Okay, so they weren't that little, but we used to always go to the station across the street, right? And I saw it, you know, like you turning it and getting it ready, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna go get my hair. I told my wife, hey, I'm gonna go get my hair cut there tomorrow and trip out on the shop and blah blah blah. Nice. And yeah, I did that, and then I'm like met all you guys there. I'm like, this cool people, good vibe, you know, and then I started bringing my boys there, you know. So it's. You got a good thing going.
I try to design it so that people that I liked would walk in, and that's kind of what
you
happens.
make it feel comfortable. You make it feel warm and inviting. That's you know, and all the guys there as well. And it's really, you know, I mean, we could talk about it for half a second, but the barbershop thing is just like, you know, it's where it's a man's retreat
for sure.
You know,
and it's barbering in itself has gone through cycles because in the 80s it wasn't, and then in the 90s it kind of came. Not full circle, but it turned into something else. Like they became hip hop barbershops, you know?
Right.
Like that was the rebirth of a barbershop, was these young kids getting out of jail who couldn't fucking do anything else. And they were like, well, we'll go into this barber game. And it helped a lot of them, you know, like it opened a huge door for that. And then tattooing kind of happened at the same time.
Right.
Where it got as popular as it is now. And I jumped in when barbering was popular. That's why I thought it would work, you know. And South Park didn't have a barbershop like the one that I was gonna make.
Now, once it started clicking, and you started thinking, oh, you know, I can do this. I can be a good host, this and that. Did you already had a vision for it, like the vibe? Because I mean, like Chris was saying, it's cool, man. It's as soon as you walk in, it's different, and it's.
I just knew I didn't want it to. I knew I couldn't look like the other ones that I frequented,
right?
You know, because there was things about the ones that I went to that even though I loved, I could see other people didn't, you know. And I was like, okay, well, South Park was on that transition to a hip neighborhood, and I didn't want to thwart that progress. I guess I didn't want to set it back at all. So I was like, look, even if we're kind of hood or we're kind of rough around the edges, I want our thing to look polished, and then maybe the happy marriage of both of those worlds together will create a comfortable place for people to walk in. And you know, some shops they go over the top for like comfort for their barbers, which is cool. It's awesome on their part. But I was more like, I wanted to feel like the client's shop. Like I want them to come in and feel like it's their house. So I wanted to look like a little house or like a little grandpa's like study that you could play around in, you know.
Yeah, because I think it's, but even, see, all these things come into play as a small business owner. You kind of got to be careful and think it through, because with any niche, you can kind of actually go out of business if it doesn't hit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I needed it. I don't know. Classic barbering was coming back, so I knew that anything old school comes back around. So I was like, look, it's classic. It's not going to go away. And I knew that I had enough antiques in my family that I could always deck it out and switch it up and deck it out. And then once I started getting into the culture of it, like after the first year, I mean, the floodgates just opened. People were just, oh, we got this. You want to put this up in your shop, or giving us presents or making us stuff. And like, before you know it, I had no room to put anything up on the wall anymore at all. It's like, oh, okay. It took on a life of its own. And it just kind of like, people would walk in the first year and be like, damn, it looks like you've been here for 20 years. Because it just looks lived, you know, like it looks homey. And that was our niche, that it was like, oh, yeah, we look like we belong, even if we were brand new.
Yeah, and you can tell, man, it's an experience to go to your shop. Now, the other thing that's critical, it's your team. Like, how'd you go about your team and you know, because there's friends and there's people that are going to be your employees. So there's a fine line there. That's
a hard line. And I never had anybody quit, because we end up always being friends, you know. But sometimes that leads to certain friction, I guess. But we always get through it. What can I say? It happened organically, so I like interviewed people, but at first I was just grasping for straws, hoping somebody would come that I could like at least hold
Really?
on. Yeah. Oh, dude.
You didn't want like, 'cause, shit, I can't miss. I got a lease. I got this. And
I kept telling
I gotta
them
have good people to do this.
I pitched that to like 10 different barbers, telling them like, look, you could be the star barber of a brand new barbershop. But as soon as you say brand new to a barber, he's like, oh shit, I gotta like start from scratch with you, and nobody's coming in. I gotta build. It's a lot to carry. So I kept striking out. I kept going to like people who I thought for sure would come, and I'd show them like, look, this is what it's gonna look like. And I was still building it, you know, like this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna dress up. And they were like, I must have lost like 6 barbers right off the bat telling them that we were gonna have to dress up, you know. I was like, okay, so that's not gonna work. And then I kind of started leaving that out, like till the very end, till they had already quit their spot. Like, hey, why don't we do this dress code thing where we all dress up? And then I had to instill it in the first guy that came with me, JP, who I'd known forever. I just got lucky. He was tired of where he was at, and he had somebody else in his ear telling him like, yo, Los has always kind of done good at whatever he's tried, you know, like you should just jump on. I promise you it's a better neighborhood and the money's gonna be better. And he was, thank God for him, because he convinced him, and then he jumped. I had already had the building for 6 months. I was just paying rent, trying to find somebody to like work with me. I thought it would be the easiest part. It was the hardest part. But then once he came, you could like sense it. I was like, all right, we're only taking care of a few people, but they're all saying everything I need them to say. Like, oh, the shop is cool. Oh, you know, I feel good. Oh, thanks for the different experience. Oh, like it feels like you care. You know, and we did. We needed everybody to come back. So I was like, we do care.
Right.
I'm sitting here massaging your feet if I have to. I need more people in here. And then he brought somebody, but Jack, who cuts Chris's hair, he was like the only piece that I knew would come no matter what. Like he had told me before, like once I had the idea, he was like, yo, I'm tired of what I'm doing. I'll come with you. But he had no experience. He had never even cut hair. He's like, I'll go to school right now and learn. So I mean, he'd cut his own hair.
Wait. But how does that happen? How do you offer him a job even though he's never?
Well, because Jack
that was his experiment. No,
Jack was in the room when I was talking about it one day when I was like, yo, I'm gonna do this barbershop. And I guess it struck something in his head probably because he could cut his own hair and he didn't want to be. He was waiting tables. He's like, I didn't want to do that anymore. So he's like, yo, I'll go learn how to cut hair if you give me a job as soon as I get out. I was like, bro, you're the only barber I have, even if you start in a year. I'm like, yeah, come on. Like, if you want to be on the team, come on. So he enlisted in an apprentice program so he could cut with us and go to school at the same time. So no, we weren't even that we weren't that talented at first. You know, we were just crazy. Surviving. We were faking the funk, looking the part. And then when Giacomo came, that was because JP, we were in the shop by ourselves, and he cut slower than some barbers. You know, he's not the fastest, so he could only cut 6 or 7 people in a day, 8 people in a day. So we were turning away people all of a sudden. I was like, damn, we need a second guy here. We need him here now. Right. And he's like, well, what kind of guy do you want him to be? I was like, yo, we need like a mascot, man. We need somebody with a shit ton of tattoos who's down to dress up. And he's like, well, I know a guy, but he's Italian. He said it like it was a bad thing. And I was like, it's all right. I was like, what's the matter with that? He's like, nah, like you don't understand. Like he's like really Italian. I was like, oh, like Guido. He's like, yeah, like beyond that. I'm like, all right, well, let's see what he's got. Bring him in. He's like, he's got tattoos everywhere. Like this guy sounds better and better. You know, like bring him in. And then Giacomo finally showed up. And when I saw him, I just knew who he was. I was like, you must be fucking Giacomo. You know, he just said, how do you know? Fucking tats everywhere. You look like the quintessential Italian, you know. He's just like, yeah. Well, like, you down to give me a shot? I'm a stylist. I've never cut men's hair. He's like, well, actually, I did, but in prison. it's like, so I don't use the same tools. I was like, all right. Like, you sound like you're gonna fit in just fine. So he came, and then Jack became full time once he got off the school for the apprenticeship program. And Sloan had come in. Sloan was going to AA, or NA, one of the two. He was in a halfway house and AA, like right down the street from the shop. I didn't even know that South Park was that friendly to that, but we have a lot of like community homes and rehab centers and shit, which is cool. It's kind of like a heartbeat in our neighborhood right now. But this guy walked by, and he was pretty. He was young and pretty, you know. And I knew we needed somebody because we had our guy. We had all the roles
Absolutely.
taken. I was like, yeah, I need a young, good-looking kid, and he was it.
This is your crew right here.
Yeah, that's the squad right there. Sloan's in the middle.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. But
Oh wow.
But yeah, that was a fun day. All of us taking those pics. So yeah, we had the squad at that point, and it linked up, and it's been the same squad forever. No one's ever left, or no one. I mean, I've brought in new guys to help. It's like part time, but these guys never left. Thank God.
Hey, that is crazy because it sounds I don't know, like a casting for a movie.
It happened organic, man. I kept telling my girl hates when I use that word. It's like, you want everything to happen organic. Like, well, the shit should happen.
Well, if it's worked out,
like how it should happen, you know.
Right.
Like I don't want to go forcing anything, and like I just ask for it and wait till it shows up, I guess, kind of thing.
Hey, speaking of movies, that's another thing that it caught my eye immediately in your shop. I mean, a lot of movie star pictures and stuff, and a lot of Quentin Tarantino stuff.
Oh yeah, man, that's the
dude, huh?
That's our inspiration. Yeah,
I mean, I love his work. It's
the shop is just like a hodgepodge of all the shit I like. Basically, it's like antiques because I grew up in it and I had an appreciation for it, and then barbering because I hate shaving myself, so I ended up always in the barbershop getting shaves, and that was the first flame of why I wanted to do that. And then and the movies, I mean, I'm a junkie, dude. Like people were like, oh, all you do is watch TV. I don't watch it, I study it. You know, I'm taking from it. I'm learning from it. I mean, from Sesame Street to Pulp Fiction, I've learned everything from that screen.
Pulp Fiction is the best, man. That movie, you can watch it at any point, and it's I always tell people that movie is just a bunch of one-liners.
Yeah,
wherever at any part you can start. First of all, that script's all over the place. It's not your conventional beginning, middle, and end. It's such a cool movie, man. But like I've caught myself just if it's playing, all of a sudden I'm watching.
You cannot. Yeah, it's art. It's beauty. It's on screen. And my shit. What was I gonna say? It was one of those things that like since I don't cut hair, so what can I keep adding to the pot? You know, can I keep throwing in the mix? And it's just ideas, and you're like, okay, well, let's do Tarantino Tuesdays, and then that took off.
So yeah, because I know about that, but what does that entail? That is it for customers? Is it just your crew or what?
We just watch all Tarantino every Tuesday, and then we used to, when it was easier, we would do drinks inspired by the movies, right? So we would do like, it didn't last for a long time because COVID hit right when we were getting into it, but we would do like Bloody Marys and watch Dusk Till Dawn, or we would do Pulp Fiction, and it would be like whatever they were drinking, those milk. What do they have?
Milkshakes or what?
Yeah, those like milkshakes with bourbon. We would do like bourbon and milk or whatever.
You guys have burgers? That's a tasty burger.
Just like dumb little shit to match up with it, but it was fun. And then some clients who were junkies on the movies would start booking on Tuesdays, and then they would start bringing, oh, here, watch this, or let's do this Tarantino, because he only has 9 movies, so you run out of shit to watch. Yeah. By the third month. Yeah. So we just started to run with it. I've even hit him up like on Instagram and been like, yo, we do this Tarantino Tuesday thing. He never responded, but I'm gonna keep trying.
Yeah. Well, you never know. Right. Imagine.
Yeah. Imagine, if he stopped in one day, it would be awesome.
That's everybody out there should kind of go at least take a peek at your shop because it's cool, man. It's you walk in there and it's certainly different, but it's cool. It's a good vibe. That day we had some of that morning tea.
Morning tea.
Morning tea, yeah.
That was good, wasn't it?
That was great. It was great. I enjoy it every time I'm in there for a cut. You know.
I mean, it's an escape, right? Like, and it's an escape that you get away with. Because if you sound like you're having too much fun, sometimes you can't get away. But the barbershop's a necessary evil, you know. So your girl or whoever doesn't mind that you're there, and if you come home looking good, she forgets that you were gone for 2.5 hours.
Exactly.
Now, do you look at it that way? Like I want to, just like a movie, right? Like I tell people all the time, I love watching movies because if it's a good movie, it's a good story, it just takes me away.
It's all about that for me, dude. It's all
Right.
about the show. Like if I want to put music in the front, I want live music. Like if you look like a character, I want you to sit in front of the shop. You know, like dude, even if you don't know it and I don't tell you, like I collect characters, so I want the place to have like a kind of a wonky vibe sometimes, but at the same time, it's got class. You know, a little bit. It's like the underlying theme, I guess. But no, that's what I wanted when I'm thinking about it in my head before I did it. I was like, yeah, I want people playing chess outside, and I want people stopping by, and I want an old guy with a newspaper who never leaves, and I want kids to help us sweep, and like that's the cool shit that I like, because I'm not gonna cut your hair, so I want to see all this stuff. So yeah, just always trying to create an environment. That's the gig. Well, that's my job at this point. You know, just create the vibe.
Well, I think you've done a great job of creating the vibe, and I think that the neighborhood appreciates what you bring, and appreciates the gentlemen in there doing their job. And you know, you could just tell. You can tell by your clientele and the repeat performance, even through all the craziness that's happened this year. I think you've got a lot of love and support.
We do.
And you know, we want to bring some recognition to you and Blacktree Barberia for sure. You know, and if people are out there and they're listening and watching, where can they follow you guys? Where can they get the vibe?
We're on Instagram at the Blacktree Barberia or Facebook, and we're at 2227 Fern Street in South Park, beautiful South Park, right across from the Whistle Stop, which I'm sure you've been to at one point in your life.
Oh, just a few times, times. Booty Basement, baby.
That's the
Booty
spot.
Basement, right?
I lived across the street. I wasn't allowed to go, but I would watch.
Oh, it was good times. Me and my wife would go there all the time. It was good times. Good
you were like that kid in Goodfellas. Remember when he was growing up? He's like,
grow up next to the spot. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I had an ought to, even though my parents were split. Like I wouldn't change shit. I grew up.
Right.
I grew up in a cool way, like not with money or anything like that, but just with a lot of culture and a lot of like influence that some people just don't get, you know. And now I'm like a rapper, or I grew up like a hood, but I also was surrounded by fancy shit, like nice shit, and we didn't necessarily live that lifestyle, but we moved it, we sold it, so I got to get the best of both worlds for sure, you know.
Hey man, well before we let you go, two things. The name Blacktree Barberia. Where did that come from?
When I was back in music, I had called myself Charlie Blacktree as a stage or performance name. I used to.
That was before Monster.
Yeah, it went Los the Monster, Tommy Two Fingers because of the hand, obviously, and then it turned into Charlie Blacktree. And when I would work on a ranch up north, the guy I would work for had this huge tattoo of a black tree from his foot to his arm.
Wow.
And then and
that must have hurt.
Yeah, and he was the leader of the group. And he's like, oh, we should all get black tree tattoos. We're all like the Black Tree Squad. And then I came home and I was gonna name it the Inglorious Barbers of South Park, or Burlingame, because it's like on the cusp. And my dad convinced me that I should stick with the Black Tree. He was like, call it the Blacktree Barbershop. But I wanted it to be Latin, so I threw Barberia.
Which is cool.
Yeah, a little standout. Yeah, and the Inglorious from the movie, right? Like, the Inglorious Blacktree.
So, just real quick, because you mentioned your hand, it's crazy you actually nicknamed.
After it? Yeah, my grandma did that. I told a girl at the mall, when people used to go to the mall to meet girls, I told this girl that my name was Tommy because I had been there the week before as Carlos, so I couldn't flirt with her if she knew somebody, you know, the old green-eyed kid named Carlos or whatever, with the 2 fingers on his hand. So I told this girl, oh, my name's Tommy, and I gave her my number. And she called my house before I got home, and she asked for Tommy, and my grandma answered the phone. She's like, Tommy, ¿quién es Tommy? Who's Tommy?
No está Tommy.
Yeah, and I'm walking in the door, and I was like, Grandma, who's that? She's like, es alguien que busca el Tommy con 2 fingers. And I was like, ding, Tommy 2 fingers. So you got it, bro. It's like, thanks, Grandma. So I ran with that for a minute. Yeah, but The hand thing, I mean, I don't even notice it anymore. That's a lie, but I try not to notice it anymore.
Right. I mean, so what happened? Just
I was born that way. I was born with club feet, which isn't a dancing disease. It's your feet are backwards, right? So they face the wrong direction. And I had this web hand with 2 fingers. It got wrapped in my umbilical cord.
Wow.
And didn't develop. The feet thing was already in play, I guess, from the beginning, but the hand came in months into development. And when I came out, every 6 months, they would do a surgery on my feet to crack and turn. So they would break your ankle essentially and and reset it and like turn it a few degrees every time. So I think I had 6 surgeries altogether, 3 on each one. And then by the time I was 4, I had just turned 4, I was with casts like my whole, from 0 to 4, I'd been living in casts, right? So I was crawling on cast. And they told my dad and my mom that like, he's not going to walk, but he'll look aesthetically appropriate, right? Yeah. He'll probably be on crutches or whatever, on a wheelchair. But I started to walk like fast. So like 4 or 5 years old. I mean, late, but at 4 or 5, I learned to walk. And that was that.
That's a trip, man. You were a youngster, but do you think that plays into your like mentality of like just moving forward and nothing stopping you and stuff?
Yeah, it plays into a lot of parts of the mentality, probably. I've recently started to look into like, not karma on an everyday basis, but somebody, and I'm not really religious, but somebody told me like Buddhism, you're reborn, reincarnation, right? Mm-hmm. So you're essentially paying for things you've done in the past life, or you're benefiting from things you've done in the past life. And not to say that I agree with that, but it did make me start to think recently, like what the fuck happened in the life previous that if there is a higher power, he thought like, I'm gonna take some of that hand away and I'm gonna make you walk. The feet thing is more symbolic to me because like you turn your feet around, it sounds like some medieval punishment, you know? So you're like, whatever you were walked away from, like I'm gonna turn your feet around. So now, as an adult, I'm like, dude, everything comes around. Like this is either a curse or a blessing. I turn it around. You know, I'm like, obviously it has to be a blessing because I can't keep going thinking it's a curse. But
you know, I think it was something important, and just for me and my upbringing and whatnot, is like God doesn't give us anything we can't handle.
Exactly.
You know, and it might seem like a milestone or you know something big, and obviously in your case it was, but to be able to push forward and come through that and like be able to play sports. I mean,
dude, 99 times out of 100, I'm glad I have it.
Yeah, God bless you. I mean.
Yeah. Because it's crazy. I mean, you know, like growing up, and then kids are cruel. We're cruel.
Oh man, you know, we skipped all that part.
Yeah, yeah.
But I was gonna say because you were saying you were the freaking quarterback. You're controlling me. I mean, that's
well, 2 gifts in my life that have, well, a bunch, but that have really internally propelled me was like the sports in the beginning, and then the music as a teen. Because I had no common ground with kids. I was like, I'm different, and they keep telling me how different I am, and then we get on PE and I kick their ass and then they're like, oh shit, the kid with 2 fingers scored 25 points on me today. And you're like, well, then you're cool all of a sudden. You're not cool, but then you're like,
no, yeah,
I mean, you got something else. Yeah, you got to respect. So like I was awarded as a badge of honor. So other coaches on teams would always come up to me for no good reason and be like, hey, number 8, that was a good game. You know, like, okay, cool. And then like my dad would be like, hey, you know, you played all right, but they're coming up to you because you got 2 fingers. You know, always putting my mind back hard. You know, I was like, all right, cool, for sure, you're right. I'm just gonna keep grinding it. And then I started to celebrate it. Like I grew up 1st grade to 8th grade with my hand in my pocket. You know, like I mean, unless we were playing sports, it was like in my pocket. But then, in high school, once I was like, oh, dude, that kid's the quarterback, and that kid went to the homecoming dance with the prettiest girl in school and shit. I'm like, all right, well, I'm just gonna rock it. And then I got to Hilltop, and I thought I was not special, but like kind of special. And I went to try out for their football team just to see. I didn't play for them, but I just saw. And the starting wide receiver had no arm. So I was like, fuck. And he was dating the head cheerleader. and the head cheerleader is now Jack's wife, right? Like my friend Jack's wife. So this guy, and his name was Carlo with no S, and I was Carlos. And I was like, bro, you got me beat everywhere.
Shit,
like you're better than me. You got less going on than me. I was like, and you have a better disposition. I was like, I'm done complaining about this shit. Like, I'm just gonna celebrate it.
You know, it's crazy, but I admire people like you because everybody goes through stuff. That's the craziest thing about me. Most people are quick to point out, oh, this or that. Most of us go through stuff. You know?
Yeah, all of us. Yeah, all of us.
But I mean, honestly,
my shit was just more obvious, but like everybody has underlying shit.
No, but not only that, and then you know, your parents split up, and all these things going on, where a lot of people might say, you know, going against you, but I mean, look at you now, man.
I've always loved the struggle, man. Sometimes too much. Like my dad be like, you're masochistic. You like going through shit the hard way, even when you know the easy way. You're like, well, because it builds a different
character.
It's character for sure.
You chisel it out different. I'm like, yeah, it'd be easy. It's not fun.
Well, listen, man, it's been great. I know. I mean, we could talk about it for hours, but we'll probably do it again.
Next time I'll ask you the question.
You should. Hey, yeah, I'm open. I'm game. But just before we go, like, what's your next step? You say I'm glad you're booking time in the studio. That's great.
Yeah. All this, maybe I'll regret saying this one day, but all this is preparation to what I feel like is gonna happen in a couple years for me, and I'm gonna make movies.
Hey, bro.
I'm gonna make movies.
You and me both. That's my first love. That's another conversation we should have.
Yeah,
I'll take you through some of it. But what I do right now, it was like my first love was movies, and when I was young, I was like, I'm gonna go to Hollywood. This, that,
sure.
The next Spielberg and all that crap. But still, man, we gotta have another conversation.
You know, it's you don't have to be Spielberg to feel Spielberg-esque. You know,
No.
like you don't fucking have to be.
Yeah.
You're
Now,
not even on a level.
One of my guys, it's Robert Rodriguez. I'm sure you know who that guy is.
Yeah, of course.
Right? And that guy's always says, hey, man, just do your thing. I mean, everybody's going to mess up a couple times, and then you just get better.
Exactly. I mean, if I didn't take little victories from big failures, then it would all just be, you know, a headache. You know, so I'm like, oh, I'm not a rapper, but I did get signed and make a rap album. So I was.
Bro, you're not a rapper, but you had a rack of lamb.
Yeah, exactly.
That's more than
I
most
ordered
people
fucking
do.
rack of lamb. And like, I wasn't a business owner, but I do own a business now. And I'm not a writer yet, but I'm about to.
No, you are. Everybody says, hey, if you're writing, you're a writer.
Oh, there you go. So yeah, I'm in the game. That's what I am at heart. I'm a writer.
Well, here we go. Thank you for spending some time with us today.
I loved it, man. Thank you for having me.
It's great, man.
Back at BLDG Studios, The Other Side presents. We will welcome you back when you get there in the next couple years. Wherever this ride takes you, we would love to have you back.
I can't wait. Thank you,
Man,
guys.
let's do it again.
All right.
Hey, thank
It
you.
was very bright and others was very dark.
Hey, Chris, it was very, very good to meet Charlie from Blacktree Barberia. I had a good time.
Absolutely, Carlos. He brought a great story, and you know, from start to finish, I was engaged. I hope our viewers enjoyed it.
Yeah, man. Everybody's got a story. We all go through stuff. We all have you know, pitfalls, struggles, sacrifices. We all make sacrifices. But it's very good to hear and listen to what he went through just to get to where he's at.
Absolutely. That's really the foundation of The Other Side. And as you follow us each week, we hope that you will just continue to visit our website at theothersidepresents.com. Follow us at Instagram, The Other Side Presents, and like us at Facebook, The Other Side. We really appreciate your support, and we look forward to riding with you next week on The Other Side.